we also live on Facebook as of now? Okay, seems like.
Oh yeah? Are we?
Are we? I don't know.
It's preparing.
Just when you thought you can have enough stimulation.
All right. So build up anticipation.
Well, go for it.
Okay, so we can start.
At least we are recording.
All right, great. So good afternoon, everyone. Oh, hi. Somebody's from Ishigaki. Hello. Awesome. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in on Instagram. And we are also going live on Facebook streaming at the same time. So we're trying this both ways. My name is Hinako, and I'm the chapter chair of Women in Music Japan. And for those of you who don't know Women in Music, we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization founded in 1985. And we are committed to educating, empowering, and advancing women in the music industry. And we now have chapters across the world, and Japan chapter was founded in 2019. And in light of this COVID-19 situation that started last month, really, I mean, this kind of exploded, ever since. We've been hosting this chat series every day or every 2 days to invite various musicians, especially female musicians from across the globe, to just first of all feature their talent and just kind of ask about their career path and what made them unique and successful in their own path, as well as how like COVID situation is affecting their workforce and so on and so forth. So today, without further ado, we have a special guest tuning in from Los Angeles, and her name is Keo. Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Keo, yeah.
Yeah, Keo. Hi.
Hi.
Thank you so much for coming on live.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Great. So could you maybe first of all introduce yourself and just kind of talk about like what you do?
Yeah. So I guess the main thing that I do now is I'm a recording artist, professional music producer, as well as a songwriter and a vocal producer. So my main thing is the past few years has been writing music for TV shows, commercials, films, and trying to basically getting my own music pitched as well to different TV shows, and just ghostwriting for other artists, and kind of like, I guess it's a very broad spectrum of what I do, but the lane that I'm really in is songwriting, vocal production, and then heading my own creative artist project.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. And have you always been LA based?
No, I moved to LA in 2017. So I've been here, it'll be 3 years in December.
Awesome. Nice. Yeah. How do you like it there? I mean, okay, we kind of have to separate the Corona situation, from like before and after, but.
Yeah. I would have to say quarantine. I would much rather quarantine in California because it's just, I don't know, there's still sun, and, the weather's nice, and it's kind of the same thing. Although today it's pretty cloudy, so I think I spoke too soon. But I don't know. It's just, I think there's more space here than on the East Coast, which is where I was living. And so now that there's more space, I think we have a little bit more of an advantage because we're not, on top of each other like people are in New York or Boston, which is where I moved from. So I kind of like the luxury of having the space that we have. We have our cars, we're not sitting in public transportation. So I feel a little bit safer and a little bit more at ease because I don't have to, it's like I don't have to be around a bunch of people if I don't want to be. So it's definitely a luxury for sure.
I see. Yeah. Sorry, I was having a little bit of like tough time hearing you at the beginning, like when you were saying, about the COVID situation or whatnot, or how do you like, LA, but hopefully that was other people were able to hear. Aine-chan, were you able to hear the audio?
Yeah, everything is fine.
Okay, sorry, it was probably the connection on my end. But yeah, okay, that's so cool. And could you maybe also like talk about like your kind of concept as an artist? I love like your whole like world and how you I also like love your videos that you recently
Oh,
released
thank you. I
for the
appreciate
song
that.
Rain. Yeah, that was gorgeous and just amazing song.
Thank
So,
you. Yeah, well, I guess I should start back in like 2009 or 10, which is when I really started writing my own songs. Because I've been writing and recording music since I was 16 on a professional level, but it was always songs that I did with my brother. He would write them and I would just kind of do backgrounds or, help with the production and stuff like that. But it really wasn't like a co-writing situation. It was always just him.
nice.
So when I got into college, I went to college in Boston at Berkeley. I started writing my own stuff, and I went by the artist name I chose was China Fox, and I actually went by that for about 9 years. And then recently, like back in, I want to say September, October of this past year, I changed the name because I just kind of wasn't really resonating with it anymore. I was like, I was kind of like, what is that representative of? Like, do I actually feel like that represents me and who I am now? Because a lot of stuff happened in my personal life, and I went through, a lot of heartbreak and trauma and just like stuff that you go through. And I was like, okay, well, what do I have musically and creatively that I'm really proud of? And the answer was kind of nothing. Like, I felt like I had done quote unquote successful things in music, but it wasn't anything that I was like, here's something that really represents who I am now. And so that was kind of what sparked the name change. Because I was like, if I change my name, then that's kind of symbolic of being able to live with a name or a label or whatever it is that you want to call it, that I can be proud of, and that's authentic to me, because I'm not actually Chinese. And I actually had a few people that were like, your name's China Fox, like, are you Chinese? Like, do you? And I was like, no. And and so I just was like, okay, well, what? Because I'm Vietnamese. So I was like, what can I go by that doesn't feel fake, that doesn't feel on the nose, that just feels like me. And Ko actually is my name. My nickname that my family calls me is Candy, and people that are close to me know me as Candy. And Ko is actually candy in Vietnamese. So it technically translates to gum, like bubble gum. Yeah, so I was like, I like that, and maybe I'm not pronouncing it like perfectly because I don't speak Vietnamese, but it felt so much more me. And so that was kind of like the mission statement at that point. It was like, I just feel like that encompasses everything that I stand for now. And ever since the name change, it was almost like a filter. It was like, cool, does this video, does this song, does this idea kind of fit with the name? Does it fit with this kind of world that I'm creating, which is my world? And ever since the name change, it's been a lot easier. It's like I flipped a switch and it was just like, okay, this is authentic to me. This isn't,
Wow. That's a whole like a lot of like different journey happening. I didn't know like the whole backstory, and now it makes sense. Yeah. I guess that just kind of like grounds you into like one central kind of core, and just makes it easy to kind of choose and or not choose certain paths, I guess, right?
Yeah, it was like a back to basics kind of challenge. And now I feel like this is the first time in my life when I've been a fan of my own music, if that makes sense. Like, I don't hear it and hear all of the imperfections. I don't hear all of the, oh, I wish we had done this or that. Right. And it took me 3 years to come out with another full body work, which I was kicking myself about for a long time. But then I realized, you have to go through stuff. You have to have things to actually.
Right.
Open to understand changing the name and just kind of like, letting that be the center of everything.
Yeah. So wow, that's inspiring. And so and then you released like this album. I was listening to it on Spotify. Like, Is that the latest one? I Sank Then Swam?
Yeah, that was the latest one. I released that in February.
Nice. Yeah, and then you've been releasing a lot recently, like all these.
I've been
new
trying
stuff.
to.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Do you have like other sort of songs that are in the making, or what is kind of your I guess next course of action as an artist? And especially given this whole like COVID-19 situation, how is this? I'd be curious to know how you've been personally handling this situation, or how it's been affecting your sort of artistic career.
Well, to be honest, I feel like my life before quarantine was already kind of like life during quarantine because like not a lot changed because I mostly work from home.
Yeah.
And one of my main producers, his name's David, he lives in New York. So we have been working bi-coastally for like 2 years or 3 years ever since I moved out here. So it wasn't really like, I mean, it was disappointing because it's like you can't go out to restaurants and like grab a drink or whatever. But, on an artistic level, to me, it was kind of like, cool, I've trained for this, like I didn't really feel like, oh, this is a huge challenge. I'm not going to be able to do what I do anymore because I would say 85% of the time I write alone. And like my whole EP, I pretty much wrote by myself with some help and guidance from one of the other producers. He helped me with, different melody ideas, and we were all together at that time. But for the most part, I wrote 85-90% of it by myself.
It's amazing.
So,
yeah.
And I think it's also tough because it's like, I think as creative people, we put this pressure on ourselves. We're like, oh, I have to put this out, or I have to show people what I'm doing. I have to remind them that I'm still relevant and that, I'm still around and I'm doing things. And I felt that way at first. Like I had that kind of anxiety and that stress. But then I realized, I was like, greatness isn't something, and building a legacy isn't something that you do in a day. It's like it's the marathon, it's over time, it's that slow burn.
Yeah.
And so I keep having to remind myself that I'm the only thing putting this pressure on myself to release music and to create more. Cause it's like, as a creative person, you're going to always be doing something.
Yep.
So I do have a lot of songs in the works. I have a lot of songs that I've worked on with people that are not even in LA. They're completely in different countries or different sides of the country. And so, and I think my biggest thing now is don't cut corners. So if it takes a little longer, it takes a little longer, and that's okay.
Yeah, and then that's good that because like you've studied like music production and all that too, right?
Yes.
While you were at Berkeley, so I'm sure like that those skills are actually coming into to use, like, and then you're really putting them into good use, especially during this situation, I guess, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think I studied mostly audio engineering, and I really just did that so that I wouldn't have to rely on anyone in the studio, because I'm stubborn and I don't like to ask people for help. So I'm like, let me just figure out how to do this myself. And so it's actually, that's helped me even before now. It's been those types of skills I've had with me since I graduated.
Yeah, so I know. Right. And I think even just like in the whole like music world, that's still sort of a rare thing, I find, and that's one of the unique things that you somehow have. And, you're a great singer and like musician in and of itself, but also having that skill set of like being able to produce and being able to really just kind of do the whole like course of, your own creation. That's really admirable. And so this is also geared towards Japanese audience because we are women in music Japan, and I think a lot of people in Japan, especially women, don't have access to a to people like you, especially who are like into like engineering and producing. It's like, so I think that's interesting to hear. So if anybody's aspiring to be like you, or like kind of follow some of like your path, like what would you say to them in terms of, I don't know, tips and advice? And especially this situation now would maybe slightly affect it, but I'd be curious to hear.
Yeah. I think that being a creative person that actually puts things out and follows through takes discipline. The same way that you learn an instrument, the same way that you get better at singing, it takes practice. It takes actually doing it. And so, for example, I bought a mini acoustic guitar because I knew basic chords, but I haven't practiced for a long time. So part of what I wanted to do was build a new skill, which was be able to actually play guitar and accompany myself. And so I would say my advice would just be figure out what is something that you can see yourself doing for a long time, or something that you've always wanted to do. And then honestly, I learn a lot from YouTube. I learn a lot of stuff from YouTube. Just like, it's free, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of great advice. And so if you want to be able to record yourself, or you want to get better at mixing or songwriting, I would do a lot less talking and a lot more listening. I would do a lot more research, because I know a lot of people that want to do certain things, but they don't ever do anything about it. And to me, it's like, they say, I'll tell them like, oh, just Google it or do this and that. And they're like, I know, but it's like, if you know something and you don't apply it, it's the same as not knowing it. Simple.
Yes, right.
So
just do it, basically.
Yeah, like you either do or you don't do something. You don't, you don't half walk outside. You either walk outside or you don't. So I think when it comes to like writing or singing or just any creative skill, it's a matter of just practicing it. And that's the only way that I got better at like vocal production, songwriting. I have those the black moleskin journals. And every year I buy a new one and I fill it with songs. Most of the time those songs never see the light of day, but it's the fact that I, wrote something down, that I actually tried to create an idea. And I think that that's really all it is just mess around, try, and don't let yourself give up. Don't talk yourself out of trying something before you try it, because if you keep going, you're going to fail a lot. You're going to be really bad at something. Like, I won't even show people the videos of me playing guitar right now, because I don't consider myself to be very good yet, but it's the fact that I'm still doing it, I don't know if that's super vague advice. Hopefully that helps.
Well, vague, but also, it speaks to many professions, not just music. I guess it's more of like the life philosophy of it all.
Yeah, I guess it's a difference between, is it a hobby or is it a passion or is it a career? Because those are very different things.
Point.
It's like, I know people that can play drums, but they're not drummers.
Right.
There's a big difference. So, so I think you have to define that for yourself. Awesome. Actually set a goal.
So then, kind of going back to, you already said that you've kind of lived this sort of quarantine life even before this whole thing happened. But is there anything that you do, particularly on like day-to-day basis, to keep, mental health and like physical health? Like, how do you maintain your wellness overall?
Well, currently, I've got banana and not just that, but a strong stability and a strong sense of self. And what I see is like, whatever your beliefs are, you get this to use to take you to point B every day. You know what I mean? And so why
That's so interesting. Yeah. The other day, we, as Music Japan, we series inviting a therapist like into our session who's also a jazz singer, just whole like mindfulness and what that means, and it's not just like sitting in a quiet room somehow like doing this meditation. It's just again like just like you said, it can just take place in so many different ways. But it's just like being present, I guess, in the moment.
Yeah, exactly. And
for me, actually,
go ahead. Exactly. And I think that we decide and we create our own environment. So if you decide, my life is stressful, my life is chaotic, I'm not going to have a good day, then you're probably not going to have a good day. Like, because our minds are, at the end of the day, it's like you're not really in control of anything. If you think about it, like who wrote Eat, Pray, Love, Elizabeth Gilbert, and she was like, the most control I have in life is walking to the kitchen and getting myself a glass of water. She was like, that's the most control I have of anything in my life. And it's so true. And so I think that, even though there is a lot of chaos, there's a lot of uncertainty now, it's like you can almost kind of find beauty in that, because it makes you realize, it humbles you. It makes you realize, wow, there's a lot that I never could control that I thought I could. And the fact that I can't control it, it doesn't mean don't get out of bed every day. It just means understand where you can draw inner peace, where can you find stability in the chaos.
Yeah. Actually, Elizabeth Gilbert, one day on her Instagram was saying something like, tips for quarantine life from the pro right here. And, because she also is a writer, right? So she's been doing it for like decades. And she was just like, make your bed, get dressed.
That's it. That's it. Honestly, yeah, I feel the same way, because it's like, we can try to plan all these things, and then it's like, you're just so not in control of as much as you think you are. And the minute that you realize that, and the minute you internalize that and learn to just acknowledge and accept it, I don't know, I find a lot of stability in that, and a lot of inner peace comes to me, because last year, for example, there were a lot of things that happened to me that were not my decision at all, that were they just were chosen by other people, and then it directly affected my life, and everything pretty much fell apart. Oh, hey Dina, what's up, girl? And because of that, it was like the universe was like, listen, like, you don't have the power you think you do, and we're going to show you why, and we're going to show you how to come back from it, and how to find strength in it, and actually stop trying to control the wrong things.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful. So we can, continue talking about all this, but the time is running out, and I would want to ask one more question at the end, which is our sort of signature question. So during these quarantine days, especially, I think music can serve as a powerful way to enhance your spirit, in anybody's life, to enrich their soul. What sort of music gets you excited, or like what do you listen to these days as an inspiration, or you have a cabin fever playlist?
Yeah, I actually listen to a lot of lo-fi hip hop because I like that. Something I realized was when you're listening to songs with a lot of words or a list, you're being told their story and you're consuming someone else's story, which is fine. And I think sometimes we need that to relate to other people. But for myself as a writer, sometimes it's like I can't hear myself think.
Yeah.
And I'm also analyzing someone else's lyrics, and I'm, you know what I mean? I'm listening and I'm critiquing their melodies. And yeah, I'm just like, wow, I need to chill. So I realized that lo-fi hip
listen, thing was like nice groove in it, you know.
so, and I have to say in 23rd on piano, accordion, like this girl can play. So don't let her being the interviewer fool you, because like, girl, you got it. And I miss playing with you. I miss our little gigs that we would do together.
Thank you, girl.
Yeah.
I know, I miss playing with you too. Seriously,
that
was so much fun. Yeah,
it was.
yeah.
We'll have to do
we'll
like
it
a cover
together.
video or something. I think
Oh
be
yeah,
cool.
let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Remote session, or you know, however we'll make it happen, or I'll go out to the West Coast, or yeah, you come to Japan or wherever. So
Yes,
yeah, our time is already.
I would love to.
Yeah, I would love to have that come true. So, but yeah, so our time is already up, and yeah, thank you so much again, Keo, for coming on our first ever Instagram live. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching, and Facebook Live as well. So doing two different things. So our next WIM Chat series will be on May 2nd, and we will live stream again on probably both platforms, and we will welcome two wonderful musicians who are from Turkey, and they're Boston-based, Nezan Nihal and Utar Artun. So please stay tuned for that, and please follow Women in Music Japan, Instagram, Facebook, and please check out Keo's awesome music, and I think she's gonna share some links with us, so I'm gonna post it more on Facebook, and just feel free to follow her, like her music. She's absolutely amazing. So thank you again, everybody, and wishing you a good day, and stay safe and healthy.
Talk to you later.
Right.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.